So you know what? Today we're going to be talking about Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred's campaign. But before we do, I want to give you guys a little bit of a preamble. I'm 41 years old. I'm incredibly old in terms of internet age. Things crack and creak when I get out of bed. The thing is, I tell you that because I've played action role-playing games since practically their inception. Playing Diablo 1 on an Acer Aspire PC, the one that had the PC on the bottom and the monitor on top, and you had the speakers right. Yeah, that's the one I played Diablo 1 on. The family PC in the living room, that was the one. I played that there. I then played D2, Titan Quest, and everything else in between. That a campaign that would normally take me 4 to maybe 6 hours to complete took me over a week and a half to come to completion. There is a serious problem at Blizzard, and there is a serious problem with Diablo, hands down. I have never been so incredibly bored by a campaign in my entire life. I would have rather had no campaign for Vessel of Hatred than to have what I experienced for those hours while I was playing it. Literally throughout that time, I wanted to do nothing else but to shut it off. And if I wasn't making content for that game, I wouldn't have finished that campaign in the first place. Now look, I'm not going to sit here and riff the entire time about Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. There are some somewhat good things about what happened with a new expansion. The thing is, though, everybody right now who's angry at me saying things like, oh, D4 has made so much money, it's incredibly popular, people are playing it, you're just a PoE shill. That's not the case at all. I want Diablo to do well. I want it to be successful. But this, ladies and gentlemen, this is not Diablo. This is World of Warcraft, retail World of Warcraft with a Diablo skin. I have no idea why every time recently Diablo has to have this thing where you are the hero of the story. And we're going to be talking about some spoilers, so get ready for that. And as you're playing, your character is the center focus of attention. Every camera angle, every pan is on you, and you are the reason why things are happening. Oh, you get stabbed through the back to your chest and get dumped into the water, and then magically get brought back to life by the Spiritborn. What was even the point of all of that? You know what? It's not even, oh man. I want to go back and talk about Diablo 2. Yes. Let's talk about D2, because as you're playing Diablo 2, you are not the main character. No. Do you want to know who the main character of Diablo 2 is? It's Marius, as he's following the Wanderer, trying to get his brothers back. That's who the main character is. It's not you, the hero. You're the one following the trail. You're the one figuring things out along the way. You're the one understanding the lore of what's going on as a trail of deceased demon corpses leaves behind you and everything just starts to crumble everywhere else. You're always 2 steps behind, but you're somehow always trying to get closer. That's what made D2's campaign so incredibly good. And here we have the opposite. Here in Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, we have, oh, you're the hero of light. You're the guy or girl's gonna save the day. Isn't that awesome? It's great. And if I have to sit there and do another emote at a statue to get things to move forward in the story, I don't want to do it. I don't understand why I have to do it. I've got to sit there, stop playing the game, go into my emote wheel, customize the emote wheel, put in help as the emote, and then do the help emote at a statue. Did anybody at Blizzard even understand what was happening while they were playing this game? I really feel like what's happening right now with this company is that they are no longer understanding what made these games great in the first place, and what they're doing is taking things that they think are going to make the character and player feel special and unique and part of the entire story process, and that's how they approach things in the first place. They don't think to themselves, hey, how do we make this thing kick ass, and how do we make them really excited about what's happening in the story? No, they don't think about it that way. They think of it as, how do we place you, the hero, in the center of all of this? And that's the same problem that's happening with World of Warcraft and retail. You have the same, like, hero of light, you've come to save and rescue us, thank you for being here. When if you play vanilla World of Warcraft, you're like, oh, there is an entire plethora of things happening with Onyxia inside of Stormwind, and I'm just a pawn in the whole thing, watching this entire play unfold right in front of me. This is amazing. two vastly different ways of telling stories and two vastly different outcomes of how stories are told. And this goes back again to the actual campaign and what's happening in Vessel of Hatred. I lambasted Diablo for what they were doing with the Spiritborn class. And honestly, I'll tell you this, besides having broken glitches and bugs inside of the class, the Spiritborn is boring to play. It's not fun. I'm sorry. It's just a monk and a witch doctor slapped together. That's what it is. I don't even want to get the character to level 100. I'm so bored with it completely. I don't want to run Hell Tides anymore. I don't want to do Nightmare Dungeons, even though there's no reason to do Nightmare Dungeons anymore. I don't want to just run endless pits anymore without any sort of variances or variables. This game has such an identity issue that it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be hardcore, and it doesn't know if it wants to be a casual game. And they're not doing good on either side of what they're trying to accomplish. They want to be hardcore, push the pit, push the pit, push the pit. Look at all these raids, look at these dungeons, look what you can do. Then they want to be casual. We're going to squish the levels down, make you level up faster, make less mats for things like that. So it's like you got to pick one. Either you go full casual or you go full hardcore. The only people that have been able to do that correctly is Last Epoch. And even then, that game is far more casual than it should be. And I know that campaigns and ARPGs aren't supposed to be that great or the main focus. It's the end game that's the focus. Sure, I get it. But if I'm going to give you $40 for an expansion, I don't want the expansion to be a commercial for the next expansion. Why is Akarat being given the soul stone of Mephisto into his chest, and then Akarat literally becomes the vessel of hatred? Do you want to know what that is? That is the meme of, oh, we said the name of the movie inside the movie. That's what that is. Nobody took this seriously. And the thing is, they're missing so many parts of what made Kurast and that area so fantastic. Getting lost in the jungle, figuring out where you're going, trying to see all the other small areas and nooks and crannies that you can get into. But you know what? Nobody does that. You know why? Because they just have a waypoint guide and they just mark it on their map and they just follow the map to their waypoint. Exploration is null and void in this entire game. So why even have it as an open world game in the first place? Think about it like this. If you are a Diablo fan and the game is called Diablo, you have now spent $110 for a game and expansion, if you haven't bought any of the other seasons, by the way, to have a game that doesn't have the main villain whose name is on the box. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I'm sorry. I have never been so disappointed in something like D4 in such a very long time. It honestly boggles my mind. It makes me want to go back to playing D2. And not even like D2 Resurrected. I'm talking about like old D2, like Glide FX D2, like that kind of thing. I just don't understand what the thought process is and why Blizzard has to continually do this and not understand what made these games great in the first place. And I know what I'm going to hear in the comments section. Oh, well, but Alex, the Path of Exile campaign isn't even any good. Nobody cares about that. Oh, the Last Epoch campaign isn't good either. So I don't know why you're singling out Diablo. This is such a stupid take. No, it honestly isn't. The difference is this. Those two games, Last Epoch and PoE, do not have the prestige or the honor to have the name Diablo as the quintessential father of action role-playing games. You know, the same action role-playing games that literally defined and created the genre practically? Yes, those games like Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. It's basically like this. Diablo should be the pinnacle of action role-playing games, and it's refusing to do so. And because of that, they are falling short of the expectations that are required to meet that storied history of that franchise. If you don't fit in the shoes, don't wear them. The expectation for PoE and Last Epoch's campaigns are nowhere near the expectation that I have for Diablo's campaigns. Unfair? Sure. Right? Absolutely. The thing is, if I'm spending $110 on a campaign and an expansion, I expect $110 worth of content and even having a good campaign for that. Everybody else has been talking about how pretty much the writing in this campaign is bar none, some of the worst I've honestly ever seen. And the more you start breaking things down and pulling it apart, the more it falls apart right in front of you. I feel like there are too many cooks in the kitchen for Diablo 4, and there are too many people trying to pull of what their game should be. And none of them are looking back in the history in the past of what made Diablo so great, and they are literally sitting there trying to go ahead and make it their own. And I'm going to pretty much say something that's quite simple. If you're going to sit there and get told to work on something for Lord of the Rings, you're not going to rewrite Tolkien's work. What you're going to do is you're going to respect it, provide homage to it, and do the best you possibly can to respect it. And right now, no one in Blizzard is providing any sort of homage or even respecting the lore or what happened with Diablo or why it became such a massive success in the first place. And that is the biggest crime of all. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Did you like D4's campaign? Did you hate it like me? Are you going to keep playing Vessel of Hatred, or are you just going to wait to see what else happens next? Now, we are going to do more stuff with PoE, Last Epoch, and even, yes, D4 content. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of that. We are doing more guides and how-tos for PoE, getting ready for Path of Exile 2, and of course, doing more things with other ARPGs that are coming out in the pipeline or even that are out right now. But with all that being said, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you next time.